What if I could redesign websites for companies that didn't hire me? Welcome to the first episode of my Rejected but Reimagined series. This week, I'll be redesigning the website for Kits, a company I applied to but I didn't get the opportunity to work with. Their website has a great foundation, but I believe there's room to make it more user friendly, visually engaging, and a little bit conversion focused. So let's dive in and see how we can reimagine it. And it's basically a platform for quality eyewear. And while the website is actually really functional, I noticed there are several areas where both the UI and the UX can be improved just a little bit. And my goal with this redesign is to enhance the usability, the visual hierarchy, and user engagement while also making it visually appealing. So let's dive in. So let's initially start off with the navigation bar. So right now it has multiple icons on the right that feel a bit cluttered. So here we can see there are 5 icons. And what we can do here is we can group the related icons like profile and favorites. And we can also add labels here for better clarity, but for right now, it's not as necessary. So what I'll do is, so this is more readable for the user. And previously, the cart icon used a black dot to indicate that an item has been added to the cart. While it served its purpose, the black dot didn't really stand out visually. So I replaced it with a red dot to make it more noticeable and intuitive. So also red is also a universal signal for notifications or important updates, which immediately draws attention to the cart. This is a small but meaningful change, which enhances the user experience by providing a clear feedback and also gently encouraging users to review their cart or proceed to checkout. Next, we move on to the header section. So this is being the header section. What we realize is generally the users are gonna see this thing first. So what we want to do is that what I realized was we have two different CTAs. And yes, I realized that this is supposed to be a carousel, but having two different CTAs makes the user a little bit confused on which CTA they should focus on first. So I believe that we have this banner first for a reason. So what we're gonna do is focus on just this banner for now. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna select this part of the banner and we're actually gonna increase it uniformly. So what we realize here is now we only have one specific shop glasses CTA to focus on as a user, and also to make the users understand, okay, that this is a carousel. What we're gonna do is break it up so it becomes more easier for the users to understand that this is actually a carousel that they can look at. So of course we can change how exactly it looks. So what we're exactly trying to do here is make the user focus on one CTA and also having those navigation indicators, like having some sort of dots on the bottom. And also we can have arrows on the right and the left so that the users can easily know that what the functionality of this is, and they will understand that, okay, this is a carousel that I can move back and forth with and look at the other offers and other banners that are there. Also, one more thing, which is just a slight thing, is we can either the space that we have here for the buttons of the navigator indicators. So having those arrows, we can either have them here so that they're close to each other and it's easier for the users to drag. And what we can do is remove the ones on the right and left. But of course that will come through testing and knowing what the users really want. So either of these two options can work, and we can test those out and understand which of these options work better. Now let's move on to the best sellers. Now the bestseller section is supposed to highlight the most popular products, yet it feels bland and uninspiring. There's no interactivity or it doesn't really like draw the user's attention like a bestseller section should. So we can make it more engaging by turning into an interactive slider with better visuals. And what we can do is we can highlight this section more. So this section looks almost similar like the other sections that we have here. And that is what we don't want to happen. So what we would want to do here is we can change the whole background of this section to black so it stands out more, because right now the background is white here and we want it to contrast with the black. So that's one of the ways that we can highlight this section. Next, again, we want to make the indicators on the bottom similar to what we did on the top. So we're going to break these down into 3 different, or actually 4 different sliders. And they can just have the same indicators on the left and the right. So one of the other ways that we can make this more visually better is we can move this bestseller just a little bit to the right here. What we can do here is we can add an icon for a bestseller, maybe. Maybe it could be 3 stars, something like that. Or maybe it could be 1 star and then it could be filled in. So we can go with different approaches here. Again, this is really rough. Something like this, just to make it more visually appealing for the users and something that they can, look at and just be like, oh, okay, these are the best sellers that they have, instead of them skipping over a section that they can always look into. Now we have another section here. It's called See What's Trending. So it basically shows you trending sunglasses companies. And what we can do here is we have a usability issue here. So as you can see here, here. So here it's fine. It's we can completely read what the price is and everything. But on some images, for example, this one, it might be an issue. Also on this one, it might be a little bit of an issue, just because of the image that we're going to use in the background. So to solve this problem, what we can do is add just a small gradient that goes from black to opacity 0 in the background behind this. So it won't matter what kind of image that we're using, but it will work with any image that we're going to be using on this section. And it will improve the readability of the text, specifically the prices, against any sort of image that we're using. We also have another issue here and here where we can barely read the text. And so we can do the same thing as add just a little bit of gradient. What this also does is, as this part of the section is darker and this part of the section is darker, it makes the user focus on the face. And why that's helpful, specifically for a glasses brand, is because you're going to wear your glasses on your faces, and this makes you focus more on the glasses instead of all the information around it. And one last thing that I noticed was actually this chat button here. And what the reason I noticed it on the bottom was because it contrasted well behind the black background. But when it was on the white background, I did not see it because it was blending in with the white background that was behind it, which made it a little bit harder for me to recognize this feature. So this makes it contrast more, and we'll always be able to see an icon whenever the users need any sort of help. They can quickly chat and find out what's better for them. So now we're going to be redesigning the product page. So the first thing that we're going to work on is highlighting the try on feature. So right here we have our try on feature, and try on feature is like a really good tool for the users to see how the glasses look on them, but I feel like it doesn't stand out enough. And to fix this, we can make the button more prominent by using more contrasting colors and adding a tooltip that explains the feature. Next, we'll be fixing the white on white color issue. So as you can see here, currently the unavailable colors, they have a white cross overlay, which is fine for most colors, but it's problematic for a white color option. So the cross basically becomes invisible. So I fixed this by adding thin gray outline on the white outline. So because of this, we can clearly see it on whatever color that we desire, even on black. This way the users can immediately understand which colors are unavailable, which reduces confusion and also frustration. And just in case, if there are even any more contrasting issues, we can also add a dotted circle stroke outside the colors that are not available. Next, we'll be looking at the text that says black. So, according to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, it fails the color accessibility for normal text. So, we can make this color a little bit darker so that it doesn't fail the color contrast. Next, here up we have the on hover interactivity. So we're gonna be changing the favorite icon to red on the hover. So on the product page, the favorite icon turns gray when it's hovered on, which feels kind of unmotivating for the user. And I changed this interaction to a red hover state, which signals action, and it's also motivating users to save the product and hopefully eventually buying it after. So next up, we're gonna be moving to similar frames. So what I noticed in the similar frames section was that users are basically shown recommendations, but there are no prices information. So adding prices next to each of the product card makes it easier for the users to compare option and also decide if they're within their budget. So if all the frames are the same price, we can also add a note like all similar frames are starting at $28, which is the price for this frame here. One thing that I've also noticed is that here the carousels, they have and indicators on the right and the left for the users to scroll and look at more frames. And we could also see it up here on the top next to these frames right here. And I think it should be more consistent, so we're going to be adding these on the homepage as well. And also here we see that 1 million customers are happy eyes. And I feel like using the same icon for top sellers on the homepage would be really helpful, as it's more consistent and it makes more sense. Next, we'll be highlighting the overall ratings. So the overall product rating is currently small and easy to miss. So right here, we see that's really small. So I want to make the rating larger and also give it a stronger visual hierarchy by placing it on top of the reviews section. So we see this whole section as the review section. So what we can do is move this section on the left, and then we can divide this page and move all of this on the right side. It looks a little bit confusing right now, but once we have the redesign in, it will make more sense. And the reason I also want to do that is because here we can see that the size of this, the whole review section, is taking up the whole space. And the reason I want to reduce the size for this is here we have long lengths of text. So we should be reducing the width of the review section because it feels too wide and it makes the text look stretched and harder to read. And I reduced the width to improve the readability and ensure that the reviews feels less overwhelming, and especially for these longer lengths of text. Also, a really small change here, I would be adding a drop down button right next to the sort by option, as this option feels functional, but it still feels a little bit static. Here we also see in the reviews that we have inconsistent icons. So this kind of icon I feel is not going with the whole style that kits actually have, and it's really inconsistent with what we actually have for our whole kit. So I would like to make the changes for this specific icon and make it more similar to the kit that Kits already has. And the main thing that I will be changing here is the review hierarchy. So the review layout currently displays the date first, right here. So we have the date first. And I feel like it's not the most important detail when we're looking at a review. So I rearranged the hierarchy so that the rating, which is right here, it will come first, followed by the date, and then the review text. This ensures that the users see the most impactful information, ratings, right away. So basically highlighting the ratings first ensures users can quickly assess the overall sentiment of a review, making the section more easier to scan. So here we have it. So we have the rating first, then we'll show the date, and then we'll show the actual review. Here I also had another plan of where I wanted to see the username too, but we see that they're all on the right side and we can't see them at all. But what I thought was that instead of the I, we can replace it with the username. So for example, if the username is reviewer327, it would say reviewer327 recommended this product. But at the same time, as a user, if I'm looking at a comment that says reviewer 327 has recommended this product, that would sound a little less verified to me. So we'll keep this as it is, but we'll be moving this username somewhere within this whole bracket, or we can also even make space here. So as you can see that there's like a lot of white space in between. We want to utilize this so there's not a lot of white space, and this whole section feels like one whole group. Also, another small thing that I realized was, as you can see here, that there is too much space that doesn't seem part of the same group. So the issue that we have here is when there's a lot of space here, this whole section doesn't look like one. It seems like the section gets cut off here. So this seems like one review and this seems like another review. And that could be a little bit confusing for the user. So the thing that what we can do here is get rid of this white space, move this section up, and apply this white space somewhere here so that this whole section feels like one, and then this section feels like another section. So currently this seems like one section, and then this seems like one section, this seems like another section, which is not actually the case that we have here. Even though we have this line in between to segregate these sections, it is a little bit difficult to see that line just because of the colors that we are using. So we're using almost white on white, and it makes it hard for the user to actually see that line. So now that we have identified the issues and we have made our changes, we can now take a look at the fully redesigned product page and also the homepage. So here's how all of these updates came together to create a more user-friendly, visually engaging, and also a conversion-focused experience.